Please find your seats and we'll get started here in just a few seconds. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome and thank you all for being here today. A summer interning at MPAC, I attended the youth group annual retreat. I spent much of my childhood at the Islamic Center. And the mission and vision of the Islamic Center has informed the way I understand my Muslim American identity. My parents got married at the Islamic Center. My family considers the Islamic Center a home, even though we've moved out of the county and sometimes it's hard to be at as many events. But what's remarkable about this is that my story is not unique. Each of you have a similar story, have been similarly impacted by the Islamic Center's vision and mission, and that's why it's so important to support the center as we are today, so that we can continue to inspire generations of American Muslims. ICSC has been effective in focusing on its vision, in large part because of the dedication of the amazing community members that have carried that vision and made it a reality. And that's why this event in particular is so special. It recognizes people who champion this vision for a greater cause and for lasting reward with God. We're honored to have amongst us some of the Heritage Award past honorees, including Mrs. Namis Hashit, Dr. Rabat Hathout, Mr. Muhammad Yaqub, and you'll find in your booklet on your tables the names of the past awardees in the program booklets. May Allah reward them for their dedication. I'd also like to recognize a couple of our guests this evening. Our friends from the Church of Latter-day Saints, Steve and Judy Gilliland. Also the president of the Pasadena NAACP, Alan Edson. And tonight, we're excited to honor Dr. Megda and Dr. Yahya Abdurrahman. I've known them all my life, and I know all of you, many of you have personal relationships with them. So we'd like to start by asking, perhaps the people who know them best, their grandchildren, to start us off with tonight's program. So please welcome to the stage Nadim Stambouli, Abe St. John, Jude St. John, and Adam St. John. So starting us with an introduction about the family, Nadim. Please welcome Nadim to the stage.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Nadim Stambouli. Thank you for joining me tonight and honoring my beloved grandparents with the Heritage Award for their diligent work in serving Muslims everywhere. In my opinion, this is just a fraction of the celebration they truly deserve. I thank Allah for being so close to you both, to fully experience the compassionate influence you both readily provide. Because of this, Miman Gito, you will always be celebrated within the community for helping lift the faith of Islam, and within the family for creating a loving environment for my brother, cousins, and myself to thrive as confident, hardworking, and devout Muslims. I love you both very much. Now I would like to introduce my cousin Zain Sajjad, who will be reading the Surah Al-Rahman from the Holy Quran.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Zain St. John, and I'm going to be reading a few verses of Surah Al-Rahman for you all tonight. Alright. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار خلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العليم. I would like to introduce my brother Jude, who will be reading the English translation of this verse.
My name is Jude. Thank you, Zane. I will be saying the translation to Surah Al-Rahman, verses 1 to 21. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, most gracious. It is He who has taught the Quran. He has created man. He has taught him speech and intelligence. The sun and the moon follow courses exactly computed, and the stars and the trees, both alike, bow in adoration. And the firmament has He raised high, and He has set up the balance of justice, in order that you may not transgress the balance, to establish weight with justice and fall not short in the balance. It is He who has spread out the earth for His creatures, bearing His fruit and date palms enclosing dates, also corn with its leaves and stalk to fodder, and also sweet smelling plants. And which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? He created man from sounding clay like unto pottery, and He created jinns from fire through smoke. Then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? He is Lord of the two easts and the two wests. Then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? He has let free two bodies of water, meeting together. Between them is a barrier in which they do not transgress. Then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? God revealed the truth. My brother Adam will now say a few nice things about my grandparents.
Assalamu alaikum, dear guests. My name is Adam St. John. Thank you for joining us this evening to honor my grandparents. Grandparents are wonderful. I love them very much. When I grow up, I want to be just like them. Thank you again.
Thank you, Nadeem, Zane, Jude, and Adam for that family introduction and recitation.
It is so nice to see all of you here tonight. It's been a few years since we've had a Heritage Awards, And I'm so honored and I'm so pleased to be up here tonight. Of course, we are so thankful to have Dr. Yahya and Dr. Magda Abdurrahman as the recipients this year. Please join me in giving them a welcome to the Dr. Yahya and Dr. Magda, if I may say in that way, are true American Muslim success stories. They came here from abroad, they established themselves, they established their families, and they helped establish a community. And in that regard, they are in many ways what we all strive to be as Americans and as Muslims. Dr. Yahya, who I spent some time with as a youth, both he and his wife, of course, have been stalwart contributors. But one of the things that Dr. Yahya's fond memory I have of him is at one of our youth group retreats, where he introduced me to Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston song, yes, that Whitney Houston, the singer-songwriter. And in one of the talks that he was giving during the youth group retreat was a talk on how we, as Muslims, as young American Muslims, we need to take pride in who we are. We need to take pride in our faith and take pride in being Americans. And he used a song from Whitney Houston. He played the entire song at the retreat, which is, I think, a very innovative thing that he did at the time. That wasn't something that you could see Dr. Fatih Osmani, by the way. To have somebody play a song like that, called The Greatest Love of All. And there's a line in that song that says, learn to love yourself. And he really used that as a basis for us as Muslims, that we should indeed learn to love ourselves. He certainly exhibits, I think, amongst one of the characteristics and traits that we see from the Abdurrahman family is energy. Is a vibe, is a engagement, is an intensity to the work that they do that I think is a hallmark of what they brought to the center. And these heritage awards that we have, they are intended to, yes, honor people from our past and what they have done for the Islamic Center. But more importantly, they are meant to highlight, they are meant to emphasize the characteristics and the traits that are needed going forward. The characteristics of dedication, sacrifice, fortitude, commitment, excellence, service to the community, working not for one's own ego or power, but working for the greater cause of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. And certainly Dr. Yahya and Dr. Abdurrahman exhibit that and have exhibited that throughout their tenure at the Islamic Center. So we thank you all for coming tonight. We hope, inshallah, that this renews your commitment and dedication to the Islamic Center. We'll hear from some of our younger people in a moment about the Islamic Center. And you have some envelopes and pens and contribution forms on your table. Please do not leave tonight without filling one out. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for that introduction. I'd like to ask Wasi Moment, Youth Group Coordinator, to join us on stage for a few words.
Thank you, Sister Hadid, for the introduction. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Wasi Moment, and I am the Youth Coordinator at the ICSC. I'd like to thank our Chairman, Brother Umar, for Youth Group Table. Make some noise, please. Yeah. I'd like to thank our Chairman, Brother Umar, for sponsoring the Youth Table today to make sure that all of our kids are here. And also all of the committee members and the members of the ICSC who advocate for and support our youth. Thank you so much. Yes. At these award functions, we celebrate those members of our community who have made specific contributions not only to our congregation, but to American Muslim life at large and in general. Today, we are gathered to celebrate the life and the achievement of Dr. Yahya and Mrs. Magda Abdurrahman in the arena of Islamic finance. We are honoring this legacy. We are honoring this heritage. And it is this legacy that we inherit. So who is inheriting this legacy, this heritage? It is our young people, our youth, the next generation. Well, that begs the question, who are our youth? I'd like to take the next couple of minutes to talk about who they are and what our hope is for the future for our young people. Now, I'm not here to recount all of the things that we already know. There's a lot that is said about, the later millennials and the generations preceding them. I think we all understand all of those things. What I'm here to do is offer an alternative. And that is to acquaint us with who our young people are a little bit. This generation is one that takes the words and the sentiment captured by past generations that we are all equal, and takes it beyond lip service, that love and tolerance and acceptance, regardless of who a person is, and where they live, and the kind of life that they choose to live, that they are all, that each and every single human being is accepted. So that's one characteristic. The second, I think, that is a characteristic of this generation is that they exhibit a capacity to love. One of the things that is part of our lives today is the 24-hour news cycle. Well, this generation has grown up aware of all of the suffering around them in the world. And they see themselves as responsible for all of that is happening around the world, and they see themselves as playing a role in changing and alleviating that suffering. And lastly, of course, this is the age of information. This generation, more than any other, has had to process levels and amounts of information unbefore-seen that other generations before them have not had to do. So the next time you tell your kid or your grandchild that they're too lazy, that they're absent-minded, that there's too much going on with them, or nothing going on, try to keep those things in mind. Now I'm going to come to us. What is our role in all of this? For a long time, I think what we tried to do was offer a competing worldview. Like, this is Islam, we are Muslims, and that is the other. That is going on in America. This is a different set of values, and we are trying to shield them and protect them. Well, I think at this point, it's time to say that that is an exercise in futility, that battle is actually lost long before we start. That at about 10 or 11 years old, that they become privy to every single thing that you wouldn't want them to know. So where does that leave us? It's a little bit grim. I think there's a silver lining in all of this. That in the midst of all of the noise, in all that is tugging at them, in all that is temporary and fleeting, I think our youth are looking for something. They're looking for something lasting, for something of weight, something of importance. And it is as the Quran says, what is good shall remain. And that is really a parable for our time. In all of the noise and everything going on in this era of fake news and the current presidency that we are living under and all of the suffering and all of the corruption, the Quran says, what is good shall remain. So what is our role? I think it is our job to provide something of depth to our youth, something of value, something of relevance, and secondly, to encourage them to believe in themselves. The unique thing about this generation is more so than any other generation prior, I think, that our youth today are looking for something. That they are willingly coming to us. It is our job to give them something that they can take, something that is relevant to their lives. So say what you want about them. For them, Islam is not merely a culture, but even an identity. It is not a branding of a term, Islamic, or a community that they belong to. It is how they live their life. This generation, by default, is the one that has the literacy of this world and the ability to affect the beauty and all of the goodness that Islam has to offer. They have the ability to not only be leaders for Muslims, but ambassadors of Islam, leaders in every aspect of life. This is what we are doing here today. Like Dr. Yahya Abdul Rahman. To see Islam not only as Islamic, but to see it as a universal system, a model for all people, sourced in ethics. And that is the work of Dr. Yahya Abdul Rahman. It is this generation, through the generations, that our elders saw and dreamed about. It is this generation that will be able to actualize and fulfill that dream of seeing Islam as a force for beauty and goodness in the world. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wasi, for so eloquently expressing why it's important to have a strong Muslim youth group where young Muslim Americans can develop their American Muslim identities. Many of you who are here today. And honestly, I got goosebumps seeing some of the youth group members at the time talking about the importance of youth group and the importance of future generations, knowing that their children are youth group members now. And seeing our pioneers, our elders, who many of whom are here in this room, many of whom are no longer with us, but who have really given us so much wisdom and developed that vision for the Islamic Center. So I hope you enjoyed your dinner. So tonight, as we all know, we are honoring two incredible members of our community. And to share my story, I studied in London 3 years ago. While I was there, I got a message from Dr. Yahya Abdul Rahman that he was in town. I had no family and I had just met the friends who I made there. But Dr. Yahya came to my university, prayed Jummah in that area on that Friday. We had lunch together after prayer, and it was such a beautiful day, having not only someone from California, but specifically Dr. Yahya Abdul Rahman. I'll always remember that. So introducing our honorees. Next we have Dr. Yasser Hathout is a physician in Los Angeles and a professor at the UCLA Medical Center. He's given numerous lectures on Islam and is the co-author of 2 Islamic books, The American Muslim Identity and In Pursuit of Justice. He's a past member of the MPAC board. And Mrs. Mona Hathout is an attorney serving as general counsel for a management consulting firm in Pasadena. She has been a part of the Islamic Center community for over 30 years and is a past member of the Center's board. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Yasser and Ms. Mona.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Nazir. We are here tonight, of course, to honor Drs. Yahya and Magna Abdul Rahman. But I have to tell you, really, it is Yasser and I who feel honored to be able to introduce them. It is said that time is a precious gift that you give to others, and few have been more giving than tonight's honorees. Drs. Yahya and Megda Abdurrahman have generously gifted our Islamic Center community, as well as many other Muslim communities across the country, with their time, their dedication, and a vision for a better tomorrow for the American Muslim community. Truth be told, they need very little introduction. They are integral members of our community who have impacted so many of us individually and as a whole. However, being the modest and humble individuals they are, you may not be familiar with their vast contribution. I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you some of Dr. Megda's contributions, and then Gesser will share with you some of Dr. Yahya's. Dr. Megda Abdurrahman is widely known to all of us for her compassion, her kindness, and her generosity. From the time she arrived in the United States in Madison, Wisconsin, 50 years ago, in 1969, she has dedicated herself to bettering the lives of women and children. In Madison, while a graduate student pursuing her degree in chemical engineering, she began teaching Islamic studies to students every Sunday, to Muslim young students. Later, when she moved in the early 1970s to Dallas, Texas, she immediately saw the need for a Sunday school, and she wasted no time establishing regular Sunday classes. First at the Southern Methodist University, and then at a nearby Unitarian church, where classes continued until they moved to the first mosque in Grand Prairie, Texas, on Baghdad Street. It was a mosque that Dr. Megda and Dr. Yahya were instrumental in establishing, and which served the entire Dallas-Fort Worth community. After spending seven years in Dallas, Dr. Megda, along with Dr. Yahya and their daughters, May and Marwa, moved to Los Angeles. Once again, Dr. Megda immediately began serving the community by teaching children on Sundays. She was one of 3 Sunday school teachers at the newly purchased mosque on Vermont Avenue, our Islamic Center. She developed a curriculum for the school, and through her efforts, the number of students at the Islamic Center Sunday School grew from fewer than 20 to nearly 300, bringing along with them many new members for the Islamic Center. After another few years, Dr. Megda and her family moved back to Texas for Dr. Yahya's work, this time to Houston. In Houston, Dr. Megda was asked to take responsibility to start a formal Sunday school at the main Houston Mosque. As with any project that Dr. Megda undertakes, her efforts led to a thriving school, one that went from 5 classrooms to 13 that had to move to the nearby public school to 20 classrooms soon after that. The number of students that have been enriched by Dr. Megda's pursuit of excellence is really too numerous to count. However, I can tell you that I count myself among them. It was in Houston when I first met Dr. Megda, Tante Megda to me. I was a student in her Sunday school classes, and I can tell you quite simply that she left an indelible impression upon me. Not only is her knowledge of Arabic and Islamic studies vast, but her ability to teach and to excite students about learning is simply unparalleled. Recently, I was going through some boxes of old papers that my parents had kept from our time in Houston, and I came across an essay I had written in one of Dr. Megda's Sunday school classes. Yeah, we don't throw away anything. I'm embarrassed to tell you it did have more than a few red marks on it, but when I reread the comments that Dr. Megda had made and the feedback that she took the time to provide, it really reminded me of the tremendous debt that I owe her for my own Arabic and Islamic education. And I will say as an aside, given her PhD in chemical engineering, she was a great resource for chemistry homework help too. In 1984, Dr. Magda, Dr. Yahya, and their family moved back to Los Angeles. Dr. Magda not only rejoined the Sunday school, but also assumed a crucial role in, I think, one of the Islamic Center's most vitally important projects, the New Horizons schools. Dr. Magda developed the initial curriculum for the school. She helped recruit new teachers for New Horizon, many of whom stayed with New Horizon for many, many years. And when the school's first lease in Alhambra expired, Dr. Magda helped establish the LA branch of the New Horizon schools, on site at the Islamic Center. At the same time, she worked on converting a small home in Pasadena into the first New Horizon school building, while the current Pasadena campus was under construction. In addition to these efforts for New Horizon, Dr. Magda has also volunteered for 7 years as part of the Islamic Center's Sunday School on the board. She has reviewed and advised on the Arabic and religious studies curriculum. She's interviewed new teachers, she's substituted when needed, and she's participated in all school events. While the focus of Dr. Magda's efforts over the past 5 decades have been on education, she actually has done quite a bit more than that. For example, she has served as a past president of the Islamic Center's Muslim Women's League. And more recently, she has worked tirelessly in assistance programs that are focused on collecting, sorting, packing, and shipping direly needed supplies and clothing to several countries throughout the world that have been afflicted by war and natural disaster. Gesser and I often get reminders from her that a shipment is going out soon in case we have something we might be able to donate, thus spurring us to an act of charity that we may otherwise not have done. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to mention Dr. Magda's dedication to family. Many of you know Dr. Magda and Dr. Yahya's daughters, May and Marwa. Given the example provided to them by their parents, May and Marwa, whom I have known very well for a very long time, are 2 of the most caring, kind, compassionate, and giving people you could ever want to know. This, I believe, is due in no small part to Dr. Magda and Dr. Yahya's focus on family and to God's blessings on them. We are all familiar with the hadith about the deeds that can benefit an individual even after their passing, including pious children who will continue to pray for you, charity that continues giving, and knowledge that one leaves behind through teaching. I believe by God's will and mercy that Dr. Magda exemplifies this hadith in all of its facets. May God accept all of your good works and bless you and your family always. It is a true privilege to know you and to have learned from you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman. I too, of course, to echo what Mona said, I'm honored to be up here to introduce Dr. Yahya and Dr. Abdul Rahman, and I will be focusing on Dr. Yahya's accomplishments. But so that you don't think that the sole purpose of this evening is to honor them, as I list these accomplishments over a span of 5 decades, I want each of us to try to measure ourselves, because the purpose is to honor them and to inspire us. And I've measured myself, and I have come up sorely lacking. A full list of Dr. Yahya's accomplishments would really need a heritage weekend, not just one heritage dinner. So I'm going to hit just the highlights of 50 years of devoted service to the American Muslim community. We all know Dr. Yahya as the CEO of LARIB. He is widely known as the father of Islamic banking in North America. He studied chemical engineering, getting his master's and PhD at the University of Wisconsin, as well as a master's in international finance and monetary theory. He's the author of 2 books, numerous papers, and the holder of many patents. And his most widely acclaimed book was published first by John Wiley & Sons in January 2010, The Art of Islamic Banking and Finance, and then published again in a second edition. It sold out each time it was published and was on Amazon's bestseller list in its category. This is a very significant thing in the time of bubbles and collapses and so on, because it really offered the Western world a very different model of how finance can be done. And currently, LARIB shareholders own the first and only riba-free, full-service national bank in the United States. Dr. Yahya, of course, is an international scholar. He has given lectures and talks literally all over the Muslim world. But the question is, how did this saga start? Well, in Madison, Wisconsin in 1968, he arrived and immediately joined the MSA and was asked to start giving Jum'ah khutbahs. He noticed that many of the students weren't teaching their children about Islam, so he met with the board of the MSA and spurred them to start an Islamic school. They located a room in a house that Muslim students were renting and began teaching there. This same house was then purchased by MSA members and became the Muslim House on Orchard Street in Madison, Wisconsin. This was one of the pioneering steps in the formation of MSAs. He had bought a large Chevy from an Iraqi brother that had finished his PhD and was returning to Iraq. And Dr. Yahya then used this car as a school bus to go around and pick up the kids to bring them to the school. And I know when I'm asked to give a lecture, I say, oh my God, I wouldn't even conceive of thinking that I'm going to go around and pick up everybody's children to bring them. And this is again to inspire us what real dedication means. And they started collecting the children, bringing them there, teaching them, and the community, the broader American community, took notice, and this was featured in the city's newspaper, and this was the first time that Muslims were highlighted in the state of Wisconsin. The Muslim community elected him president of the MSA chapter in Madison. That chapter, of course, with Dr. Yahya's dynamism, became a very active pillar of the MSA in the US and Canada. And that chapter, and specifically Dr. Yahya, took the activities to a national level, and Dr. Yahya was the chair of the first national MSA conference at Green Lake, Wisconsin. It was a very successful organized conference and laid the foundation for the annual national MSA conferences today. In November of 1971, he finished his PhD and was offered a job by Atlantic Richfield. And so he went to Plano, Texas. The family packed up and drove to Dallas. And this was November 1971, around Thanksgiving. They arrived on a Wednesday. And as Dr. Yahya always did, he took the phone book and started looking for Muslim names and started calling up, saying, where's the Jum'ah prayer? He found that there is no Jum'ah prayer being held in Dallas. The Muslims were a very small community, afraid of discrimination. So Dr. Yahya starts the Jum'ah prayer in Dallas, Texas, just 2 people, and then develops the Islamic Association of North Texas, which became the largest organization in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and started Jum'ah prayers at Southern Methodist University, University of Texas at Dallas, University of Texas at Arlington, and in Fort Worth. In 1972, the MSA elected Dr. Yahya as the Southern Central Regional Director of the MSA in the US and Canada, and as a member of its board of directors. And this responsibility took Dr. Yahya and Dr. Magda into the surrounding cities in Texas and states like Oklahoma, Louisiana, New Mexico, and that was how they spent their weekends. In Oklahoma, they started and activated a chapter of the MSA in Stillwater, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa, and in Texas, they activated chapters in El Paso, Arlington, Texas Women's University, and the University of Texas in Denton. Then in 1972, Dr. Yahya gets a phone call from Dr. Ibrahim Yazdi. I'm sure you'll recognize his name. And he had the idea of, why don't we teach Islam in prisons? Well, I, of course, would have shuddered at the danger involved. Dr. Yahya jumped at the opportunity and started preaching Islam in the penitentiary system. And he recounts how he remembers that Dr. Magda and Mai would be waiting for him in a park outside the prison while he went inside to teach. And he would get messages from the inmates, and then the family would drive to those families' houses and give them the messages from the inmates. This was the first pilot prison program ever in the history of the United States, and MSA now is based its program. Just to give you a flavor of Dr. Yahya's level of involvement on so many levels over so many years. In the interest of time, I have to, as I said, it would take a weekend, I have to jump to the LA years and summarize some of the things that they've done for our community. When Dr. Yahya got here, as you saw, Dr. Mohsen al-Bari was essentially the only Jama'ah Khatib. Dr. Yahya organized a Friday Khatib program, preparing the schedule months in advance, trained new Khatibs. He organized a very successful Sunday program at the Islamic Center with an editorial board. He introduced the translation of the Quran and its discussion that is still a part of our Sunday program, and got the youth group involved presenting Islamic topics. You saw how the center has grown. When the new building on Vermont was bought, it was purchased from an insurance company and it was not structured to accommodate the community. Dr. Yahya led a team of volunteers to obtain the necessary permits, to prepare the architectural designs, to prepare requests for bidding on the renovations of the center, and the lowest bid came in at $1 million. So upon seeing this, Dr. Yahya volunteers to become the contractor himself rather than spend $1 million, and the costs came in at $500,000. So he saved the center $500,000 in an era where you thought the county was scrambling to get $30,000. He designed the kitchen facilities to the state-of-the-art condition, using funds that were raised by the Women's Committee. The dining hall was renovated, the parking lot was redesigned, and as you heard, the center was able to accommodate the LA chapter of the New Horizons School. And with his organizational skills, the center held the 8 prayers that you saw in the video, and I personally very much miss those days where we used to pray 3 and 4 8 prayers in the back parking lot to accommodate everyone. A very unique Ramadan program helped spur the free iftar, a program financed by donations. If you remember the reciters that would come to us from Egypt to recite the Quran during Ramadan, Dr. Yahya was integral in bringing them over and instituting the Ramadan lecture program, and of course managing the finances of the center. He organized the finance committee to include business persons, CPAs, accountants, etc., and started the first Check-O-Matic program to raise funds for the center. And before he came on, the center was deeply in the red. Within a matter of some months, he was able to balance the center's budget with all of these saved 10% of the collected donations in addition to other major donations, and that served as the first seed money for the waqf of the Islamic Center. Outside of our center, he started the forum, which invited Sunni and Shia imams, and this became the predecessor to the Islamic Shura Council, and he was then asked to head the Shura Council, and he had the major responsibility of serving as the chairman of the Shura Council during the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and that, of course, placed the Shura Council and the entire Muslim community under the spotlight, both locally and nationally, and alhamdulillah, Dr. Yahya was there to be one of the major faces of that interface between us and a group that was initially quite suspicious of who we were and what we were about. So I have known Dr. Magda Yahya for most of my life, but even I was not fully aware of all of these accomplishments. Why is that? Because in addition to everything else, they have the virtue of humility. But recently they said, and I quote, "We wish we could have done more. May Allah accept our shortcomings and accept our deeds and our service. Inshallah, Ameen, for we all owe you a great debt for ourselves and our children." And I want to end on a personal note, because as Mona said, the greatest gift is time. And Dr. Yahya has touched so many of our lives in a very, very personal way. So let me take you to a June Sunday in 1984. I had finished college, I was home for the summer, and my parents tell me that some very distant friends are coming over for dinner. Would I be home tonight? I said, okay, yes, I'll be home tonight. And that was the first time I saw Mona Yunus. When they left our house, I told my parents I would like to marry this girl. What do we know? I said, we don't know anything. We know they came here for dinner. So I said, well, who would know? Who can help? And this is often the answer to that question in our community. He said, Dr. Yahya. So I called up Dr. Yahya that Sunday night and said, Dr. Yahya, what do you know? He said, she's a wonderful young lady, a wonderful family. I said, is she engaged? And there was an awkward pause. And then he said, no, but I'm going to Houston Tuesday and I think you had better come with me. So I dragged my sister and we went to Houston on Tuesday. And we came back Friday, and my father called and proposed on my behalf. And alhamdulillah, her father said yes. I have no idea what she said, but her father said yes. So God bless. And a few weeks later, doctors Magda and Yahya Abdurrahman were at the home of my parents leading the decoration effort for our Katb Kitab, which happened in August of 1984. And less than a year later, Dr. Yahya married us in this hotel, and our wedding celebration was in this banquet hall. And so you see why I jumped at the chance to present this amazing gentleman and his amazing wife, who have done so much for so many, because as a community member, of course, I owe them the debt of gratitude that we all do, but on a personal level, I owe them an even greater debt, and I ask that God accept their deeds and bless them and their wonderful children. And to echo Mona's sentiments, Maya and Marwa are among the finest people I have ever met, and I am in their debt in so many different ways. And may God, inshallah, bless them, their children, their grandchildren, Ameen. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you both for sharing with us a bigger picture of who Dr. Yahya and Dr. Magda are. I know I feel like I have to get to work. There's so much work to be done, so I am truly inspired. And I feel like Dr. Yahya can take credit for so many marriages, it sounds like, because my parents were just sharing with me that he also married them, and they were in the video that was just shown. So it's so beautiful to see so many blessings coming out of that. I'd like to ask Ameen Stambouli to join us on stage to talk about
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here to help honor my grandparents and their tireless effort to infuse the positive presence of Islam in today's world and in our current culture here in America. Beyond the pivotal influence my grandparents have had in configuring my values through their valorization of devotion and faith and their exemplary conviction in ameliorating the Islamic condition, among many other attributes that I admire and hope to emulate, the principal characteristic that I'm grateful for and believe that they embody is a boundless capacity for and prioritization of affection. Whether this pertains to their love for Allah, the Islamic community, their roles within it, or their grandchildren, I am certain that their passionate work they are being honored for tonight is a function of this priceless characteristic, which I am privileged to have experienced directly.
Mima, I remember at the age of 6 we cleaved the moon, Ananos Fontinos, carving our respective paths and initials into the redwood as a symbol of our everlasting affection. And Gildo, your loving enthusiasm in walking from Pete's Calcutta pet shop on Sunday mornings, both embracing and embellishing and even my insistence on practicing our balance by limiting our walks to ledges and high walls. Together, we visited countless mountains, beaches, and fishing ponds, museums and aquariums, cities and national monuments. However, the moments I most value are neither symbolic, nostalgic, nor extravagant, but rather conventional, contemporary, and subtle. Gildo standing in the frigid night as we part, gesticulating and waving joyfully until our car resolves into the distance. Or Mima's partnership in exploring everything from math and science to Quran and Kareem. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, our dinner conversations are filled with passion and laughter. Recently revolving around world history, economy, politics, or philosophy, our respective lives and prominent events within them, and the way in which our common faith does and should influence our response to such events or experiences, whether practical or existential. Since I was young, you've taken the time to answer my questions about the Quran, your beliefs, practices, and worldviews aptly, supporting your opinions with parables and experience. Your depth of knowledge and passion for Islam augments my faith and interest constantly. Thank you so much for everything you've given and taught me, and for how much you love your children and their families. Love you, everyone. Gildo. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Amin, for that beautiful tribute to your grandparents. I'd also like to ask Dr. Munib Hussain, a community member and Sunday school graduate, to share some stories about his experiences.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So tonight I feel very blessed and honored to be able to share my experience about someone who had an influential impact on my life as a child. And furthermore, someone whose impact I didn't fully understand until I got older. Miss Magda Abdul Rahman was born in Egypt. Being that she was surrounded with Islam and Arabic, she had a magnetism towards the Quran at a very early age. Throughout her schooling, she kept the Quran in her pocket and would refer to it on a daily basis. It allowed her to keep a constant connection to Islam and Allah. She credits her grandfather as having the biggest influence on her in regards to her not only becoming a more dedicated Muslim, but also deepening her understanding of the religion rather than just robotically memorizing the verses of the Quran. This really struck a chord with me as a child because, like with her grandfather, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, also helped me connect with Islam in a very similar manner during my developmental years. Ms. Rahman helped establish a rational base for following Islam, which helped me to connect with the spiritual side of Islam and understand the purpose of all the rituals, such as prayer, fasting, and the Hajj that we do today. As to studying Arabic and the Quran deeply wasn't enough, Ms. Rahman also pursued degrees in chemical engineering and environmental engineering, as the speakers before me mentioned. Upon immigrating to the US, she began her journey of passing on her knowledge in various cities to various students and children, starting from Madison, going to Dallas, to Houston, and then eventually, as all smart human beings do, come to California. She joined the Islamic Center of Southern California and immediately integrated into the Sunday school system. She became my teacher around the year of 1996. I still remember her teaching me not only the correct Arabic pronunciations of the words in the Quran, but also the meanings of each word and verse. Ms. Rahman always tried to make the class fun and interactive, helping to keep me and the other students engaged. She taught us the purpose of various Islamic rituals, with one of the most fun being the Hajj simulation that we would perform in class. She even opened up her doors to her house for me as well as my classmates, where we discussed Islam and enjoyed each other's company, which allowed us to develop that sense of community that is so vital to the Muslim Ummah today. This interaction with her at the Islamic Center as well as at her house, really helped me to incorporate Islam into my daily life at such a young age, instead of just something that was to be done on Sundays. I will admit that as a child, going to Sunday school was not always the most exciting, because most children at that age would like to be staying at home on the weekend and watching TV or playing video games. But Mrs. Rahman's class was an exception, and I looked forward to going to her class, and it also helped me that she didn't get mad at me or give me a timeout for being the loudmouth child I was, or talking out of turn, which for those of you who know me, is very difficult for me not to do. Looking back at her dedication to her craft, as well as the patience she had with my fellow students and I, is still something I admire till this day. It's one thing to teach others, but it's something else in itself to be able to cater your teaching style to various ages. For this, I deeply admire Ms. Rahman, and she was able to get through to my video game playing, loudmouth, mischievous young self at that time, and instilled that desire and curiosity in Islam in me. She's now blessed with 5 grandchildren, and to no surprise, she continues to instill the love for Islam in them. Inshallah, as her grandchildren grow up and they continue to appreciate and take full advantage of the great teacher they have at their disposal, as I did. Thank you, Mrs. Rahman, for the invaluable teachings and guidance you provided to me and all the kids that you have crossed paths with in their lives. Thanks so much.
Thank you for that. And now that we have a wider understanding of who Dr. Yahya and Dr. Megda are, please join me in welcoming them to the stage, along with Mr. Omar Rishi for the award presentation.
First award goes to Dr. Magda Rahman. It says here, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, the Islamic Center of Southern California presents its Heritage Award to Dr. Magda Rahman for your steadfast commitment to the growth and development of the Islamic Center of Southern California and to strengthening Islam in America. And I quote from the Quran, "The believers, men and women, are protectors of one another. They enjoin what is just and forbid what is evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and obey Allah and His Apostle. On them will Allah pour His mercy, for Allah is exalted in power and wise." And God speaks the truth.
Take a picture of my wife.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum, dear friends, sisters, brothers, children, and young children, and grandchildren. I'm truly humbled and honored by your presence tonight. Thank you for presenting me and my husband with this great Heritage Award. I would like to thank you all for your support throughout the last 40 years. You have become really true members of my family, and you inspire me always to do more for our center. I would like to thank the Islamic Center board members, and specifically the chairman, Mr. Omar Rishi, for his tireless efforts towards reviving true Islamic spirit at the mosque. I also, with great humility and love, would like to express my sincere gratitude and thanks for my best friend, my sister, my beloved Dr. Zainab Abdel Basit, who nominated us for this award. She is a true asset to the Islamic Center in many more ways than I could possibly express. Thank you to my grandsons for their beautiful introduction and words. May God bless you. I love you very much. You have been the wind beneath my wings. Thank you, Munib. You touched me by bringing up those nice memories from the past. And to Dr. Gasser and Mrs. Mona Hathoud, thank you for your lovely words and for your exemplary role in serving and uniting our community. Finally, I am grateful to Allah who granted me any and all opportunities to serve Islam and Muslims and the Islamic cause. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. My story began almost 50 years ago when I first came from Egypt to Madison, Wisconsin to join my husband and pursue my graduate studies. I am sure that many of you of my generation shared similar experiences to ours. Whether we came to this great country to seek higher education or to pursue greater achievements or to simply settle in a new home, we soon discovered that this land is of opportunity, democracy, and freedom is our chosen land. A land where we can raise our children, continue their Islamic education and heritage, and pursue a rewarding career. As a child, I attended a Catholic French school. I didn't have the chance, as other children of my age, to memorize small surahs at school. But I was raised in a pious religious family. We prayed together, we prayed Jama'ah together, and we read Quran together. My environment at home nurtured my spirituality and desire to read, learn, and memorize parts of the Quran on my own. Looking around, I see both my grandfather and father constantly reciting Quran to themselves whenever in solitude. My mother and my grandfather did not only tell me Quranic stories, but by example, they led me to experience the feeling of devotion and humility during prayers and during reading the Quran, the eternal gift of Allah to humanity. My passion and dedication to my faith naturally defined my responsibilities and my priorities. So I took it upon myself to dedicate my efforts toward educating children and youth in Islam. With the guidance of Allah, my husband and I established and taught Sunday school everywhere we moved in America. My experience teaching was extremely rewarding as I developed lasting bonds with all my students. I became their friend and their mentor. I am overwhelmed by a special sense of pride when I see them now as young parents bringing their children to Sunday school. May Allah bless them and help them to carry on. Tonight, I would like to take this moment to impress upon you, the younger generation, to remember your parents' dream. Your generation is responsible for safeguarding, educating, and nurturing the spirit and foundation of the Islamic faith from this point forward. My dua to Allah is for you to succeed in this ambitious mission. At this point, I see three main challenges for the new generation to overcome. The first challenge is Islamophobia. Islamophobia has become a campaign used to negatively galvanize the public. Many corporations are funding the campaign against Islam. They want to stress the idea that Islam is a backward, racist, and violent religion. In order to face Islamophobia, we need to increase our civic engagement. We need to represent our faith in public. Rather than telling people what Islam is, we need to show them by building bridges of understanding with non-Muslims. In all the ways you function, you should act as a role model for your faith at work, at school, or in your neighborhood. This solid representation of your faith will increase your children's confidence, and your non-Muslim friends and neighbors will realize the truth about Islam. The second challenge is misinformation in the media about Islam. A common saying nowadays is the age of information has become the age of misinformation. The internet is likely to have varied and mixed messages about Islam, ranging from true facts to hostile fictions. Where can our youth get their information from? The tactics of these negative websites and sources is to distract the reader from the profound message of Islam by focusing on minor and trivial issues. Alhamdulillah, there are many successful ongoing efforts to deter attacks on our faith from the media. Scholars are actively responding to and working towards re-educating the public against this slander. Our own responsibility is to inform our Islamic centers of reliable information sites so that they can link it to their websites in order to guide our youth to find authentic information. The third challenge facing the next generation is the busy everyday lifestyle that plagues our present time. In an age of extracurricular activities, achievements, and competition, I feel that young parents are struggling to find time to teach their children about Islam and to preserve and nurture their Muslim identity in a day of busy schedule. Three simple practices come to mind. First, we can remember to infuse spirituality at home. This can be achieved by mentioning Allah and remembering Him in all you do. Whenever you pray Jama'ah together, take a few minutes afterwards to talk about Allah's bounties and blessings, His love and forgiveness, and His generous rewards, as one good deed is rewarded tenfold. Remind your children about the power of dua. Remind them that the channel of communication with Allah is open at all times. His response to our sincere supplication in prayer is immediate. His generous gift in rewarding us whenever we do extra charity is guaranteed. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The second practice is for young parents to leave a legacy for their young children to follow. One of the main duties of a Muslim is to do the good, al-ihsan. Each one of us has a moral responsibility to help his or her society and those in need. Therefore, you should have a legacy and share that experience with your children. If you have an ongoing charity, take your child when you donate. Take your children with you when you go to the food banks, or to Clinics Without Borders, or to the orphanage where you volunteer. Involve your children and grandchildren in these activities, as they will replicate the values they grew up with. Finally, in order to strengthen the Muslim identity in your children, expand your relationship with other Muslim families. One's relationship with others is a branch of your relationship with Allah. Start reaching for other Muslim parents. Get together as families and meet on a regular basis in your homes, at Islamic schools, or at your mosques. Being a part of a close-knit group feels reassuring and develop a sense of belonging to your children. The importance of belonging to a community is a requisite for overall well-being. Our Islamic schools are the perfect nurturing environment for our children to learn their traditions and their faith. May Allah reward the educators and the founders for their foresight. The Islamic Center of Southern California, I remember 35 years ago, was a pioneer example for other centers in the area. A model of a close-knit community, a place full of fervor and energy, a warm and inviting environment for newcomers and families with different backgrounds and cultures. We all worshiped together and celebrated together. We ran out of seats in the lecture hall every Sunday. Special events like Mother's Day, graduation, New Hijri year, and Quranic recitations milestones were celebrated by parents uploading their youth achievements in the lecture hall. The Sunday school bi-monthly presentations attracted crowd of parents and friends to celebrate the achievements of and the talents of their proud children. These celebrations empowered the young students to be more proud of their mosque and traditions. The Women Association had a monthly breakfast in the social hall while listening to a select guest speaker. This is the spirit we want to hold on to. It's a strong bond with other Muslims that provides security and safety in our children's hearts. As I look back and remember those precious years, I realize that our community, my family, all of you here today, and many, many more have woven our roots together to belong to one family tree. May Allah bless the fruit of this beautiful tree. Alhamdulillah, God granted me the opportunities in the past to teach children, youth, and adults. My heart, hope, and mind are still on our youth. I hope we can provide them with opportunities to come closer to Allah, to be proud and passionate about their faith, and to spread peace and love in the world. May Allah bless the efforts of every member of this community. Tonight, we are not celebrating the achievements of two people. We are celebrating the unity of our commitment and our resolution to concentrate on educating the youth and the children. May Allah accept our supplication for our progeny to eternally guard and propagate the last word of Allah. Thank you very much.
Dr. Yahya Abdurrahman. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, the Islamic Center of Southern California presents its Heritage Awards to Dr. Yahya Abdurrahman for your steadfast commitment to the growth and development of the Islamic Center of Southern California and to strengthening Islam in America. And it says the verse from the Quran, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the believers, men and women, are protectors of one another. They enjoin what is just and forbid what is evil. They observe regular prayers, practice regular charity, and obey Allah and His Apostle. On them will Allah pour His mercy, for Allah is exalted in His power and wise. Ameen. God speaks the truth. Dr. Yahya Abdurrahman.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, we ask Almighty God to shower His blessings and prayers on one of His prophets, Prophet Abraham, father of all prophets, prophets and messengers, including Prophets Moses, Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad. May God's peace and prayers be upon them all. I must admit, I have a heart attack to follow. for Magda. So give her a hand. What to let you know is a hadith by the Prophet ﷺ that this life is for fun. الدنيا كلها متاع. The best of all funds and gifts is المرأة الصالحة, the devout, dedicated wife. And I'm telling you, if I ever make a prayer to my grandchildren, I hope that they will be blessed with a dedicated wife as good as Mima, as grandma, inshallah. For all the grandparents here this evening, I'll tell you what Magda does. Magda is an accomplished engineer and systems developer, working for the defense industry, the chemical industry, the refining industry. But she took it upon herself. Every time we have one grandchild, she would quit one day. So she started with Amin, she has 4 days. And then Nadim, 3 days, until she became 0, and she retired. Now, she divides her day in a very interesting way. Magda is an organized person. I remember when we got married first and we decided to go on a picnic, I found her sitting down, writing, thinking on a piece of paper. I said, honey, what are you doing? She said, I'm writing a list of what we're supposed to do. I came from Egypt, we don't have that kind of organizational structure. Forgive me if you feel offended, but that's the thing. So I learned that from my wife, and it was a wonderful journey. We've been married in August last year, 50 years. And the way she divides her week is also very interesting. She goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday to the west side, where May's family is, next to the hospital, the UCLA hospital. And Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday is with Amin and Nadim on our side. And she organizes it that she really instills in them the love that we all feel from my dear wife, Magda. May God bless you and reward you for being patient with me. So, my wife, Magda, our children, and Marwa, and grandchildren, Amin, Nadim, Zain, June, and Adam. I want to thank you all, our community at large, Islamic Center members, management, board of directors, and founders, for bestowing this honor on us. Thank you. Jazakumullah. In this room, we have members of the Muslim community at large, as far away as the San Fernando Valley, who drove at least 1.5 hours, as far away as San Francisco, and I'm honored and I thank you very much. We have members of the Muslim community from East Africa. I remember them when they just started, and now they have their own imam. And we have also members of the LMDS Church, the Mormon Church. We are honored to have you all with us. And that's the main thing. We have members of the Buddhist community, members of the Christian communities, and that's the name of the game. And our goal is to expand America from being a Judeo-Christian America into a Judeo-Christian Islamic America, inshallah. And I hope, inshallah, that will be the contribution of the current management of the center and all the centers and our children and their grandchildren, inshallah. When I came to America 50 years ago, my wife and I had big dreams about building an Islamic center and a school for the new generation of American Muslims. I became active as I traveled in the United States and Canada, helping to motivate communities to do the same. At the end of each fundraiser and speeches, I prayed that Allah would help me build a bank for the community, to bank its savings and to invest these savings back in the community to enhance its economic prosperity and create job opportunities. That is what kept me very busy all these years. We've been quietly developing an alternative American riba-free we abbreviated RF, using a brand name RF Banking, discipline and service for our community, our children and their grandchildren, and for all Americans. Alhamdulillah, thank to Allah, God, for helping to achieve the dream. We built an internet-based finance company, Lariba, and a full-service national bank, the Bank of Whittier in Los Angeles and Dallas, Texas. We have been at it for 32 years. It is a community-owned. There is no foreign capital. It's all, anything I did in the United States has always relied on our own resources. I never went hand in hand to any foreign country because that is demeaning, because we need to put our money where our mouth is. We're offering full-service internet operating FDIC-insured national bank services serving all 50 states using the riba-free RF discipline in underwriting and operations. By the grace of Allah, so far we have financed $1.75 billion in loans. Let me repeat this, $1.75 billion in loans. And we also service a portfolio of $500 million. We serve Americans, Muslims and non-Muslims. 80% of our depositors are non-Muslims. Most of the city churches and synagogues are our customers. And inshallah soon the Islamic centers will follow. We finance cars, homes, commercial buildings, businesses, masajid, churches and schools throughout the United States. We train hundreds of Muslims and non-Muslims on RF finance discipline. Many of them are still with us, and others are proven successful bankers and business leaders. To document our unique and pioneering research in the field of RF banking and to document this experience, I authored a textbook on riba-free financing published by John Wiley and used the textbook in several universities in the United States and in the world. Two editions and a total of 19,000 copies were sold on Amazon.com. As a token of appreciation, if interested, please give me or any of our associates or Dr. Zainab or Brother Omar your card, and I'll be honored to send you an autographed copy, complimentary copy, as a token of appreciation for your support and your dua. Coming to America 50 years ago was an amazing experience for me and my wife. I consider the mid-1960s to be a significant time in the history of Muslims worldwide. For the first time since the 19th century, Muslims in America from around the world got to meet, know each other, eat together, dream together about the future, work together, intermarry, and serve Islam for the first time since the 19th century. In these 50 years, we built the foundation and infrastructure. Islamic centers, at least 2,000. Every city in America and Canada has at least one Islamic center. Islamic schools, at least 800 full-time schools and organizations. This has been an important growth experience in a very short period of time, thanks to Almighty God, Allah. Now that the building of the infrastructure has almost been completed, we should focus, plan, and prepare for the next stage. And that is to efficiently utilize this infrastructure to develop the effective Muslim American that we hope will make a difference in America and the world. My estimate of the investment we put in real estate only around the United States and Canada ranges between $5 to $7 billion. And we need to efficiently utilize this wonderful infrastructure gift from Almighty God, which unfortunately is now used for a maximum of 8 hours a week. That should change. I call on our new generation of leadership to urge them to study the ways and means used by the successful churches in America, to learn from their experiences in running a successful religious organization, which includes organizational structure, efficient missionary work, and in-depth training of the future generation. I have many dreams, my dear brothers and sisters and guests, but I shall focus tonight on 3 activities we need to work on in the next 50 years. And when you plan for 50 years. And I'll let you in on a little secret. In that conference at Green Lake, Wisconsin, MSA is today's listener. And we sat down a group, I think of 6, 7 people. We said, what are your goals after 50 years? And wallahi, what we wrote down is what Allah has given us today. I hope and pray that the management, the new generation of management, sit down and write the goals that they want to see 50 years from today. The first being dawah, otherwise known as missionary work, inviting people to Islam. If we want to prepare a future generation of dedicated and effective American Muslims, then robust spiritual preparation and robust dawah training are the answers. They form the foundation for success in everything else in life, including excellence in family life, schooling, excellence in schooling, and excellence in political activism. Here are some pointers. Live and promote a distinct lifestyle. I call it the Islamic RF, riba-free lifestyle, which is based on the value of the individual and not the way his or her appearance and looks are. Second, efficiently utilize the entire members of the community for working in the dawah efforts in their fields of expertise. This is very efficiently done by the LDS Mormon Church. Offer an added spiritual and material value to motivate the participants, and this is very efficiently done by the Evangelical Church. When they set up in a new country, what they do, they bring in business opportunities for the newcomers to their faith. The second activity would be wise to focus on education. After years of experience, we are finding out that we need to expand Islamic schools, which are less expensive to operate than the schools today. We built a network of Islamic schools nationwide. It would be wonderful to attract non-Muslim children to take advantage of this unique education and lifestyle, exactly how the Catholic Church and the Jewish schools actually attracted many Muslims. Matter of fact, 60% of the student enrollment in the Catholic schools in the United Kingdom are Muslims. 40% of the enrollment in King Solomon School in Edinburgh, Scotland, are Muslims. I hope we'll do the same. To complement the Islamic schools' efforts, we can also offer another model which has been tried successfully by another American religious movement, the LDS movement. I call it the sandwich model. In that model, community members are encouraged to buy a home in a good quality school district and build a central training and education center in the neighborhood to offer part-time religious schooling before and after school hours. That's why I call it the sandwich concept. We also want to make an impact on the public school system by encouraging our non-working parents, mothers, and our youth to study to become teachers and get certified to teach at a public school. This would present the future generation of Americans at large with the lifestyle of a Muslim teacher. The third area is the area of zakat and how to invest the zakat, or the alms, or the tithe given. By the grace of Allah, the affluence of the American Muslim community produces a significant amount of zakat donations annually. Matter of fact, there are estimates that it can add up to about $1.2 billion every year in the United States and Canada. We need to focus on new ways for zakat distributions. The Quran defined 8 outlets to invest the collected zakat. Zakat is not only intended for the poor and helping them. It's not only intended to pay the bills at an Islamic center, but generally zakat should be used for other outlets. And I mentioned 3. First one is educational financing for distinguished students instead of the burdensome student loans that they all suffer from. The average American student graduates with a student loan of $120,000. And we got the resources. We can give interest-free loans to the students who pledge to pay back, and we don't know how much you can bloom out of these seeds. Second, helping the needy, what I call the miskin, who become miskin due to any reason. One reason is getting laid off, losing their job, and they will pay you back, I promise you, from experience. And third, financing dawah work very generously. Before I conclude, I want to share with you some of the lessons of life I learned based on the experience of an old man, that's me. First, never be scared about the future. Put your trust in Allah the Almighty. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And those who heed Almighty God will reward him, will resolve his issues from the least expected place. And if we put our trust in God, then God will be your supporter and protector. Second, start with a vision for the future. Write it down. And I insist, write it down. Don't just talk about it. Write it down. And live to work hard to achieve it. My vision is very simple. To develop real Islam here amongst the American Muslims. And to turn around and popularize the real Islam in all the world, especially in the Muslim world. Third, start from the possible to achieve the impossible. Be patient because change takes time. Gradualism is the answer. Fourth, money does not make people. Let me repeat, money does not make people. People, through hard work and service, earn money and recognition. 5. If you face a dispute, do not use your tongue, use your pen. Write your response, read it carefully, edit it, and send it to that person. This applies to your wife, your husband, your children, your parents, your colleagues, and others. 6. Do not burn your bridges. You will never know when you will need that bridge. 7. The challenge is not to fight our enemies. The real challenge is to make a friend out of an enemy. 8. Respect all people, regardless. People are God's gift to the world. Regardless of who they are, their religion, rich or poor, their background. Never participate in backbiting, rumors, character assassination, and or marginalizing others. 9. Work hard at what you have at hand. You will be met with challenges. Resolve the challenges diligently and never lose hope for a better future and outcome. Time will come when Allah creates reasons for you to change course and leave. When you leave, make sure that you leave in peace. Rest assured that there is a bigger and more challenging responsibility from Allah is awaiting for you. I'll tell you a personal story of a very dear friend of mine. This man has been met with major challenges, losing his job numerous times, open heart surgery, and every time we went to solace him, he would be smiling. And we said, "What are you smiling about?" He said, "Well, God is giving me a forced vacation because He's preparing me for a bigger job, and I swear by Allah, he always got a bigger responsibility. So look at what may happen and you think back on it as a gift from Allah for a better future." Number 10, stay in touch with people. Call them, maintain visiting, caring about others, and be proud of them. In the old country, they used to teach us, بعيد عن العين, بعيد عن القلب. Those who are away from your eyes and away from your heart. And I want to tell you a story that is amazing. Where the bank, one of our requirements is that the customer, very unusual for a bank, send us his or her resume. So one day I got a very thick resume from an Iranian brother, immigrant, who came from Brussels, a Nobel Prize winner, and I was really impressed. So I picked up the phone and I called him up. And I started telling him how proud I am of him and so on. He said, "Brother, tell me how much donation you need." True story, very true story. I said, I'm not calling you for a donation, I'm calling you to congratulate myself and tell you how proud we are. He said, "I've never had such a call since I started getting in touch with the Muslim community. Please, care about people, connect with them. Don't call them so they will ask themselves, what he or she is calling me about? Must be selling tickets, must be asking for donations. Ask about them." And this is what we call in Islam al-Wid. Al-Wid is this energy that keeps relationships alive. Number 11, smile and stay humble. Let me repeat, smile and stay humble. The Prophet ﷺ taught us, تبسمك في وجه أخيك صدقة. Your smile in the face of your friend, your brother, your sister is actually an act of charity. I remember when I came to America, true story. I wrote, of course, no internet, nothing. So I wrote a letter to my mom. My dad had died. I said, "Mom, something amazing about this country. Everybody is smiling." So I discovered that one of the training programs for salespeople and people that you work with is to smile, to keep a smile. I once was visiting one of the countries, and my American boss asked me, "Was there a catastrophe in this country?" I asked him why. "Nobody is smiling. Everybody is gloomy." So I wanted to smile. I don't see smiles. I don't see smiles because smiling is a manifestation of your belief in Allah, God, who owns the future. In fact, when I arrived in America, as I told you, I learned to keep that smile alive and kindled. And then 12, help and serve people. Prophet ﷺ teaches us, خَيْرُ النَّاسِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best of all people are those who benefit people the most. The best of people, inshallah, will be you all and me included. Again, thank you all for bringing joy to my wife, my children, my grandchildren, and to me personally. I thank you all, and I just want to let you know that as we did this movie back in 1988, we never thought that would be a wonderful reminder and nostalgic effect with each and every one of us. So, for the people of today, do it for 20 years down the road. And I just want to tell you something about a very dear friend, Zainab and Mahmoud Abdul Basit. I met Mahmoud Abdul Basit for the first time at a very prestigious conference in New Hampshire, which is only by invitation. And I usually, before I get to the meeting, I read the names of the attendees, and I saw Mahmoud Badr Abdul. I said, this man must be Egyptian. So he came and I told him, you are Mahmoud Badr Abdul Basit. He thought I worked for the intelligence service. True story. So he said, who are you? I said, and from that time on, 1974, Zainab was pregnant and her son, Sharif. We became very good friends, and it's amazing because every time they moved, we moved. Like, moved in Texas, they came to Texas. We moved to Kuwait, he came to Kuwait. We came back to Los Angeles, he came to Los Angeles. And been a wonderful gift from Almighty God. Thank you, Zainab, for all of your hard work. Stand up, Zainab. Give her a hand. Directors and Christy and Selena and all the staff and Dr. Hussein. And I really appreciate it. May God bless you and reward you. May God bless your families. May God, inshallah, give you the best of everything. Please remember us in your dua. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Yahya and Dr. Megda, for your service and dedication, and congratulations on your well-deserved award. May Allah bless you and your family. I'd like to ask Dr. Zainab Abdul Basit, Islamic Center board member, to give us some concluding remarks.
I promise it will be 2-3 minutes only so you can thank you very much for coming, and I want to start with microphones. That's good? Yes. Okay. I want to congratulate again Dr. Magda and Dr. Yahya for receiving the Heritage Award. It is so well deserved. After we heard all this accomplishment and achievement, I'm so proud of them, and I hope all the young people will follow the footsteps. I'm so happy, of course, to be with everyone tonight. I hope you are having a good time. It is truly incredible how many lives Magda and Yahya have touched over the years. My family is one of them. First, we met Yahya, as he mentioned, in 1974, way before we moved to California. We kept in touch with them, and when we decided to move again, actually Magda and Yahya, the one who convinced us to move to California, and that was in 1987. When we moved here, we really never felt like newcomers. They welcomed us, they helped us, they rented a condo for us to start before we bought a house. So it was a wonderful experience. We never felt that we are a stranger in California. And the most important thing, actually, they introduced us to the Islamic Center. This amazing place, we were so impressed by everyone. Everyone welcomed us with open arms. We were impressed with the contemporary approach to Islam, and we were impressed by the key leaders in the community like Dr. Meher Hathoud, Dr. Hassan Hathoud, Dr. Omar, and Mrs. Alfi, and Dr. Fatih Osman, who really drove the vision of the American Muslim identity. Their devotion and love to Islam and to our community was really inspiring to us and illuminating. We were transformed as people and as Muslims. My family has lived many places across the country and across the world. I will tell you with no hesitation that this community is like no other. You have given so much to my family, and I will be always indebted to all of you. We always focus on giving back to this wonderful community, but I know that no matter what I do, I will never be able to begin paying back what this community has given us. Thank you very much for coming, and before closing, I just wanted to thank Dr. Tanvir Hussein and Mrs. Nabila Bedrouz for their hard work to make this stage beautiful, as you can see. Also, I would like to thank Selena, the development coordinator, and Kenan is the director of operation for their work with us to make it easy on us. Thank you very much, and inshallah, Asim will come for the Quran.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let us pray, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. O Allah, you are our Lord. There is no deity except you, and you are our Creator. We ask you to grant us the good of this world and of the hereafter. Guide us to the best of deeds and the best of morals, as none can guide to the best except you. O Lord, give our soul piety and our conscience purity. You are the master of our souls and the guardian of our conscience. Grant us soundness of belief, goodness of character, forgiveness of our sins, and your eternal pleasure in the hereafter. O God, endow us with clarity of vision, guide our footsteps, cement our bond with love, and make us among those who strive for goodness and beauty. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
Tell you that we have an envelope on the table, and we do appreciate general donation to help this place strong for the new generation to come.